Former WCW President Eric Bischoff says there isn't any hope for AEW with Tony Khan in charge of the promotion. Details on that, plus the WWE Draft is coming up at the end of the month. We've got details on NXT's involvement as WWE looks to re-establish NXT as more than just a developmental brand. An update also on Eric Rowan's possible WWE return as he's been spotted in Pittsburgh, where WWE usually does their medical testing. Rossy Agawas' new promotion has been officially announced. We'll give you all of the details on that. Miro, he provides an update on his injury status amid his AEW hiatus, and The Rock reflects on WrestleMania weekend. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off with criticism from former WCW President Eric Bischoff for the current AEW President Tony Khan, and why Bischoff believes there isn't any hope for All Elite Wrestling as long as Tony Khan is in charge. Now, the wrestling world is still resetting itself after trying to figure out Tony Khan's primary motivation for airing the backstage footage following the backstage altercation with CM Punk and Jack Perry at AEW All In last week on AEW Dynamite. Now, the nearly unanimous takeaway was that it maybe was a bad idea with very little to gain, at least that's what many people have been saying. Former WCW President Eric Bischoff has taken things several steps further, stating with conviction that with Khan at the helm of the company, there's no hope for AEW moving forward. On the latest episode of Wise Choices, Bischoff answered a question from a viewer about Khan's decision to air the footage. He said, quote, "What the F, I mean, seriously?" He pondered aloud. "I'll normally get on here and I'll try and point out from my perspective a different approach for Dynamite to take, perhaps a different approach for Tony Khan to take, but I'm at a loss. I don't think there's any hope. I honestly don't think that there's any hope for AEW as long as Tony Khan's in charge." Bischoff claims to understand Khan's perspective, calling it, quote, "indie-rific as hell," and stated that it's perfectly fine if it aligns with Khan's passions and interests, but having a national television contract makes this a whole different ballgame from a business perspective. That, Bischoff says, is what Khan and company don't seem to get. Quote, "If you're on television in the United States and your goal is to grow your audience, if your goal is to secure your position with your cable partner, then your goal also has to be to grow, because if you're not growing, you're indeed dying. It's just a matter of when," he explained. Now, he continued on by saying more about AEW, continuing again to push back on what Tony Khan has been doing in All Elite Wrestling. Of course, AEW has had its share of successes since its inception in 2019, but with every success comes challenges. It's the lows, according to Eric Bischoff, that AEW and Khan have not been able to recognize at the moment and pivot. He said, quote, "You would think eventually Khan would wake up in the morning and go, you know what, this isn't working," Bischoff said. "So what are your options, Tony? Continue to do the things you're doing, which in this case has just been horrible." The picture that Bischoff has painted specifically around the Young Bucks, who presented the segment on the show, is also less than promising. He feels they may be in a corner they simply cannot get out of anytime soon now. He said, quote, "There's been an attempt to turn the Young Bucks heels," Bischoff recognizes. "Even if you were to somehow convince yourself that the creative strategy behind turning the Bucks heels was working, what the F were you thinking when you aired the footage from backstage? That didn't take anything away from CM Punk. In fact, you made him a freaking hero." Bischoff has offered some suggested corrective measures that all center around a better understanding of being in the television business and growing the audience. Quote, "In order to cater to a larger audience, you have to understand the audience," his opinion was. "In doing that, you're going to be able to predict how the audience is going to react to any one thing. It's not brain surgery, it's just experience. Tony doesn't have that. Tony has no concept of that." So what do you make of what Bischoff is saying there? Is he just being a hater of AEW? Is he just being a critic? Or is he pointing out legitimate concerns and legitimate issues with AEW? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, the draft is coming up at the end of the month. Many people have wondered, what is NXT's involvement going to be this year? Now, according to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, the draft is approaching with a renewed focus on NXT's part of the event on WWE television. There has been a few question marks over NXT's role in the draft, one being the possibility of main roster talent being drafted to NXT. Fightful Select's Corey Brennan has learned from sources close to the NXT creative process that this is not just a tease, with the final Testament and Ivar's appearances on this past Tuesday's edition of NXT setting the stage for other main roster stars to make the jump during the event as part of a renewed focus on making NXT the third brand of WWE once again. Brennan has also been told that the next 2 weeks of NXT programming will focus on the draft in the lead up to spring breaking, as shown this past Tuesday on the episode of NXT on USA Network. As for what NXT talent can be expected to come up in the draft, Brennan has spoken to several talent who have been told by Shawn Michaels this week that he isn't sure who will be brought up from NXT in the draft. However, Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov are said to be a lock for Raw and SmackDown in the draft, while Roxanne Perez's status for the draft remains up in the air despite television teases. Now, elsewhere in NXT, Tony D'Angelo's family and Baron Corbin have been discussed as possible additions to Raw and SmackDown. In addition, Fightful Sean Rossap has learned that the timing of the WWE draft is not coincidental. WWE planned for it to be the week of the NFL draft to capitalize on what they're calling, quote, draft fever, as they have in the past. When Fightful asked if there will be any hard and fast rules regarding the draft or more lenience, Fightful were told that input would be accepted from media partners, specifically their upcoming partners in the CW network and Netflix. However, one WWE source said to Fightful, quote, the Netflix deal is closer to next year's draft than this year's draft, so that won't be something we'll need to worry about for a while. So what do you think about NXT's involvement when it comes to the draft this year? What do you think when it comes to, again, what's going to be taking place? Do you think NXT should be kind of moved away from being developmental and be a third brand? And which main roster stars would you like to see drafted to NXT? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to Eric Rowan. We brought you a story yesterday that several independent promotions had announced that Eric Rowan had pulled out of upcoming events due to what he described as contractual obligations. Now, PW Insider is taking this a step forward, saying the following, quote, several independent promotions have announced that Eric Rowan has pulled out of upcoming events due to, quote, contractual obligations. Rowan was in Pittsburgh this past week, where WWE talent go for medical testing. Now, again, this has led to rumors that Rowan could be part of an upcoming Bray Wyatt-inspired faction on WWE television. Of course, it has been teased that Uncle Howdy is set to return to WWE TV, or Bo Dallas. We're not really sure what character he's going to be playing, but there have been teasers on television, off television, with Rowan coming back to the company, with Braun Strowman still being under contract, with Alexa Bliss seemingly being on her way back. Could we see a Bray Wyatt-inspired faction on TV? We get any more details of this, of course, we'll let you know in the future. Now, a big story today regarding Rossy Agawa's brand new promotion. Rossy Agawa has revealed his new promotion. During a press conference Monday morning, Agawa announced the formation of Dreamstar Fighting Marigold, or Marigold for short. Their first show, Marigold Fields Forever, will take place on May 20 at Korakuen Hall. It will stream on Wrestle Universe with both Japanese and English commentary. The main event will feature Julia and a mystery partner taking on Suri and a mystery tag team partner as well. Now, the start of the press conference revealed the first 7 roster members, including Julia, Yutami Hayashita, Mairi, Nane Takahashi, Mai Sakuri, and Yuzuki, formerly of Stardom. At the end of the press conference, lots of people also were announced as part of the roster as well. Of course, many people were waiting to see what Agawa's next move was going to be. Of course, he was fired from Stardom by Bushiroad after the promotion accused him of attempting to poach talent on his way out. Of course, he's one of the co-founders of the company prior to it being sold to Bushiroad. Of course, owns New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Agawa denied the accusations, but did say he was going to form a new promotion. Julia, who appeared at NXT Stand and Deliver event during WrestleMania weekend, will help Agawa with the promotion before departing for WWE. By all accounts, she's already agreed to sign with WWE, but she's helping Agawa get this promotion off the ground. We also saw Agawa during WrestleMania weekend as well. As far as if it has a relationship with WWE, we don't yet know. We get any more details on that, we'll let you know in a future video. Miro, what's the latest when it comes to the Bulgarian Brute? Well, AEW star Miro has given an update on the injuries that are keeping him out of action. The Bulgarian has not been seen since defeating Andrade Al Idolo in what transpired to be the latter's final match for AEW ahead of his return to WWE. In March, Miro informed social media that he's been dealing with an injury since September last year, reacting to rumours that he was due to compete in AEW's cancelled Meat Madness match at Revolution. Miro told Sportskeeda that he had sustained injuries to both his shoulder and elbow, finally getting them sorted in January with shots. He is recovering, rehabbing, and looking to return stronger than ever. He wrestled just 7 matches in 2023, 4 of which came after he said he sustained an injury. Before that, he had been on hiatus from AEW, stretching back to all the way back to All Out in September 2022, capping off a year comprised of just 4 matches for the former TNT champion. He wrestled almost twice the number of matches during 2021, the year of his TNT championship run, than he has done in the years combined. It's worth noting that he has pursued ventures outside of wrestling in that time, including an acting role on the TV series East New York, which required him to remain in the Empire State for weeks. Miro signed a 4-year extension with AEW in 2022, suggesting he still has unfinished business in the promotion. And finally, The Rock has reflected on his WrestleMania experience, discussing competing, if he's injured or banged up coming out of the match, also praising Seth Rollins for his work during WrestleMania weekend, congratulating Cody Rhodes and his cousin Roman Reigns, and also saying his sights are set on WrestleMania 41. Here's what The Rock had to say on an Instagram post over the weekend.
Happy Sunday to you guys. Happy April 14th Sunday. Hope you guys are having a great weekend with your family, your friends, your loved ones, having a few drinks, some cheap meals, doing all the fun shit that we've earned throughout the week. It's been a while since I've stopped in. I wanted to swoop in and address and acknowledge a lot of your questions, but I will distill it down to just a few here of the ones that I've gotten all week long. Post-WrestleMania, 1 week after WrestleMania, how I felt about WrestleMania, how my body feels after WrestleMania, after that 45-minute match, and what's happening next in my world. Okay, so a few things. Number one, let me just start with thank you. Let me say thank you so much for all the incredible support going into WrestleMania, the build-up to WrestleMania. I wanted to help create the biggest WrestleMania of all time, the biggest build-up of all time, make wrestling cool again. Professional wrestling is cool again. From the final boss, I want to say thank you so much for all of your support. And we shattered every WrestleMania record this past WrestleMania. We shattered every WWE record, and we did it because of you, the fans. And we did it for you, the fans. So thank you. How my body feels after WrestleMania, banged up like a son of a bitch, but that's to be expected, and that's the world we're in. Whether it's pro wrestling or MMA, UFC, pro boxing, you go into these events, you prepare as best you can, you have your training camps, and you get banged up like a son of a bitch, and hopefully you come out of it not injured. Doesn't always happen that way. My body's banged up this whole week. I spent recovering, getting rid of all the inflammation, lactic acid, but no injuries. So that's a key. So anytime you could go through a match like that, whether it's 45 minutes like our match or whatever it is, it's WrestleMania. You leave it all out in the ring like every woman, like every guy did in that locker room, and you get banged up, and hopefully you don't get injured. So no injuries here to report. My body feels great. Had a great week of working out, recovering. I did a 12-week training camp to prepare for WrestleMania. I wanted to make sure that I felt like my size was good. I weighed in at about 284 pounds when it was bell time at WrestleMania last week. I felt like my movements were quick. They were sharp. They were fast where they needed to be. I was explosive where I needed to be. My main thing in getting in the ring with those guys, my cousin Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins, I wanted to make sure that my conditioning was on point, because those guys can go, and they've been doing it now for years consistently, and I've been away. So I implemented that 12-week training camp. I flew in a lot of wrestlers for the camp. I had a wrestling ring set up in Hawaii, a wrestling ring set up in Southern California, and one set up in Georgia. And I wanted to make sure, again, that my conditioning was on point. that my cardio was on point, and I can go. And my motor was going and going and going. So I was very happy about that. And I want to say congratulations to the men I was in the ring with. These guys are the best on the planet. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes, the new Universal Champion. As I had said, when the final boss returns, he's coming back for you. I'll make you bleed again, boy. Congratulations, Cody Rhodes. Congratulations to my cousin Roman Reigns on an incredible 3.5 year run, maybe even 4 years. Just incredible and iconic and historic. I'm very, very proud of you, Uso. And also congratulations to who I feel is the real MVP of the entire WrestleMania weekend, Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins. What an honor it was to share the ring with you three. What an honor it was for us to break records. And now my sights are set on the next WrestleMania. But that's down the road, a conversation down the road.
Yes, The Rock talking about the next WrestleMania, certainly. What do you make of The Rock's comments? What do you make of his future in WWE? Let me know your thoughts about that too. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.